Welcome, everyone, to episode 37 of the Dual Boot Diaries, the weekly podcast where two longtime Windows users learn to use desktop Linux daily. I'm one of your co-hosts, Adam Patrick Murray.
I'm your other co-host, Will Smith, and we are not Linux experts. Although, I mean, maybe we're starting to get there. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm inching my way up. The beard's grayer. The point of this thing is that each week we're going to go through our experiences trying to switch to desktop Linux daily, and the whole show is going to culminate with deleting either Windows or Linux, or maybe, like I said last week, moving into the woods and just not using computers anymore, because sometimes that's how it goes.
Punch cards.
Yeah.
Are you old enough to use punch cards?
When I was a kid, my parents' business had an embroidery machine that had paper tape, which is like punch cards on a tape.
Oh.
So you'd get you'd send the picture that you wanted to be embroidered onto the cloth or the shirt or the hat or whatever, and somebody would get there with a plotter and they'd like click the little stitches. They had a mouse that had like a transparent hole with a plus in it, and they'd kind of crisscross the stitches, manually place each stitch for the embroidery pattern, and then they would encode that into a paper tape. But I've never used punch cards. I've used the paper tape a lot, though.
Interesting.
Yeah. It held like 35 kilobytes maybe, on a big, giant, huge piece of paper about that. That's
all you'll ever need, right?
It was a reel-to-reel tape of paper. And let me tell you.
Do you still have it?
No, God, no. Oh. And also, when those things broke, because they'd occasionally tear if you used them too much, super, super pain in the... You had to like tape them back up with Scotch tape, and you had to make sure there was no overlap because we'd get hooked on the mechanism. It was a nightmare.
Yikes.
It's a bad format.
That sucks. Speaking of bad formatting, I can tell that you're looking off center to the screen of me. You're like looking. Oh, you're looking towards me.
Okay,
not,
so
centered up.
How's that? Is that better? So some behind the scenes. Yeah. When we're doing the intro, I center my notes in Notion. So that I can read the thing if I forget what we say every week for the last 37 episodes.
Yeah, which we do.
But if I don't, then once we get going, then you're off to the side. So you were over on the left side there for a minute. And now you're centered. How's that? Is that better? Do you feel like I'm making the eye contact directly with just staring you right in the eye?
Right into the soul. I think everyone should look right into my soul, because I've got some stuff to talk about. So I would say let's dive into our diaries.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm just a tease. We don't do this often.
Yes.
I have some incredible earth-shaking news to drop. So Adam's going to talk about his voyage of discovery and trials. And then I'm going to shake everyone's worlds. You're going to be rattled at the end of this podcast.
WillOS is launching. You're going to announce it here.
Look, that's not a real thing.
That would shake my world.
That would be, yes. That is not WillOS is launching. It's even more earth-shaking than that. Anyway, what did you break this week, Adam?
Yeah, so last week I talked about how Fedora 44 was awesome. It was great.
Yeah, you did a big upgrade. First big upgrade, really, since you knew what you were doing?
Yeah, pretty much. And for the most part, I had been using it on my old ThinkPad. And that's kind of what we talked about last week. And then I updated my other laptop, the ProArt, the Asus ProArt.
The one that you actually use, not for show.
No, I use that ThinkPad more than the ProArt right now.
It lives on the desk at the podcast studio. Yeah, I'm just saying it's a...
The other one lives at home, and
What laptop are you using right now?
Unfortunately, it's a Mac.
Yeah.
It's an iMac. It's not a laptop.
Triple Boot Diaries coming up next season.
Yeah. Anyway, Mac still sucks.
Wow.
So I updated Fedora 44 on that laptop. Got it all up and running. Thought it was fine. Powered it up. When did I first? I don't remember exactly when I powered it up, but it gave me essentially a big error, being like, hey, something wasn't found. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And I was like, that's okay. I got multiple grub entries with backups.
You got Snapper. Snapper's running.
Is it? I don't know. I didn't even configure it. It just did it by default.
Oh, no.
What? Like, it's built into Fedora.
I know, have to configure it.
I mean, but the entries are there, so it's got to be doing something, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
How'd it go?
So I went back one. I was like, hey, Fedora 43. Boom. Okay, let's do it. And then something more happened than Fedora 44, but then I got an error being like, oh yeah, something's not right. Something ain't working. We were not finding. Oh no, it didn't have root privileges or something like that. I don't
seems
remember
unusual for the bootloader, but okay.
Yeah, and I was like, oh okay, I've got a couple other grub entries. It seems to do it every time there's a kernel point release.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong. I don't know. I didn't configure it. I just let it do its thing. And so, yeah. And then I was like, all of them didn't work. All the old ones like just pretty much gave the same error. And I was like, okay, I'm going to show this to Will. I'm going to put this aside. I have other stuff going on. I'm just going to put it aside. Yeah. And maybe when I come back, it'll work. It didn't work. So I brought it into work. Was it yesterday? Yeah. When I saw you.
Tuesday.
And I was
yeah.
Like, yeah. And I was like, hey, Will, can you look at this real quick for me? Cause I couldn't, I don't know. Before I wanted to do anything, I wanted to show it to you, and you were like, "Yeah, this isn't good, dude. You're screwed."
What I said was, you need to go to the Fedora wiki.
You should give up.
Yeah, I said maybe you should. Maybe you're a Mac guy. That's exactly what I said. No, I said you should go to the Fedora wiki, and you should look at how to recreate your boot partition, because you need to. What you're going to have to do, because I've had to do this, you're going to have to boot off of a thumb drive, off of a live CD. And then you're going to chroot into your install from the live CD, from a working Linux install. So this is a thing that Linux can do that is novel for Windows users. You can basically have a running Linux install and say, hey, I want to connect to another Linux install, and then behave as if I'm that install. That's what wait, is it chroot? Yeah, it's chroot.
Yep.
Yeah, so you chroot in, and then you can make the changes that you need from the machine that won't boot to make it boot again, and then you can go in and fix it for real. Chroot, real banger. Now, the problem in the olden days, before ButterFS had subvolumes and all that business, chroot, you just chrooted it into a partition, and it just kind of worked. Now with the subvolumes, you got to do some other stuff. And like Cache has a special version of chroot, or of the chroot tool that's like packaged up to like parse out your subvolumes and all that stuff, so everything gets connected the right way. Which is why I said you should go to the Fedora wiki to learn how to do this. So anyway, what did you do next?
Well, I looked at the Fedora wiki. I actually didn't find. I mean, I didn't look too hard, but I didn't find anything that stuck out real quick. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do something I did last time.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to do any of this. So I am going to consult Google Gemini.
Oh, no.
I know. No, hold on. I had a friendly conversation with the AI, and they, spelled out some, be like, oh, hey, try this to, what happens. And then or if something happened that didn't go along with the steps, I was like, hey, you know what? I got stuck at step 2 and it's giving me, and I would actually type in the error that it was giving me. And I know you're shaking your head, but like it actually walked me through the process, and once again was like explaining things in very natural ways, and I got through the whole thing, and now it works.
Oh, perfect.
like it worked out. Like, and I don't know. I feel weird coming in here again, being like, hey, AI was able to do this, but it actually was really nice to just kind of like step through it and just like literally put in my error and be like, hey, I don't know what this is, and then like have it explain what to do. And was it accurate? I have no idea,
but it works.
But it worked, and like I kind of, it was interesting because I do like that it like explains some stuff, not super deep, but it, like just a real quick overview, like of what something is, and I've been messing around in the terminal enough that I'm like noticing certain patterns of like, oh, okay, /MNT is mount, right? Things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, so like I got to say I am actually learning some stuff because I'm just by pure repetition, and I felt like I don't know if like what it was doing was accurate, but it felt accurate enough. Like, not that I could double check it once again because I'm not an expert, but like it wasn't telling me to do something like really off the wall that I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so. Just RM-RF asterisk. And no, I mean, look, you're internalizing knowledge. This is the thing I have noticed about you is that you are able to learn.
Yeah.
But like you're figuring out the basic, like Yeah, it's just a matter. It's the same way that I learned how to use Windows 100 years ago, right? Is by getting into the OS and poking around at stuff. And like one of the things that I think is really neat, but also is really frustrating, and I think you're going to talk about this in a minute, is like all of the hardware is accessible through the file system. Like there's no device manager equivalent. Like you just go into the /dev/whatever folder, and that's how you point your your video capture to your OBS to your video capture card, and like all of the hardware is accessible in that same kind of path. And I think for the most part, there's some stuff that you get access to differently, but it's really neat, and it really makes a ton of sense once you understand it. But getting to the point that I understood that stuff took, we've been doing this for a while now, and like I had to beat my head against it for a while before I was like, oh right, I understand this now.
Well, it's interesting because like I feel like if I would have tried to do this AI stuff, even at the beginning of this whole journey, so much of it would still scare me, I guess, because I am having to put in long strings of terminal commands, but like it is forcing me to, I don't know, maybe I have Brad Shoemaker in my ear where he's like, yeah, force yourself to try to learn what you're actually doing. Don't just put it in. So I'm not going that extreme. I'm not actually learning, but I am paying attention to what it told me to do, and I was like, oh, okay. But once again, I'm starting to recognize certain things here, and it was like, even though I don't understand what it's doing, I actually feel like I'm getting more context and information than just looking at a wiki.
Well, I was going to say the other difference now is that you probably have enough background knowledge that when it spits something out at you, you can kind of give it the sniff test and be like, this is, I should look at, like, this one seems like a bit much. This seems not right, or maybe not. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'm giving you too much credit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I still feel like I could have messed something up for sure, but I took my time. I did it. The weird thing that popped up though after all of this was that yes, I felt a sense of relief that that's what it was. It just was the boot images need to be rebuilt. I updated, through the DNF and everything. Like everything seemed fine, and I was using it, except for one thing we'll get to in a second. The thing that I did feel a little weird about is that before I've been doing this kind of deeper stuff with AI, or relying on AI to help me to hold my hand through this, is that I used to just go into Discord and be like, hey, you know what, this thing sucks. What's going on? Somebody help me. And then it was a back and forth with the people in the Discord, and it's weird. I'm conflicted. I have two feelings about that. Number one, I felt guilty because I felt like I was relying on them too much, or taking up their time too much, or just like coming in with like, oh God, Adam doesn't understand this again. Like I was projecting that on them. Nobody was telling me like, hey, Adam, you're an idiot. Everyone was super nice. Yeah. That's just my own insecurities.
But now you're taking their jobs with AI.
I know, yeah. But then afterward, like there was no, like usually in the Discord, like once something was solved, it was like, people would be like, yay, and I was just like, wait, I don't get that with the AI.
You need the AI to glaze you more. Just set the glaze to 1,000%. And it'll be like, hey, Adam, you're the smartest person in the entire universe for figuring this out.
So I don't know. Like I actually, it did, once again, I'm conflicted because it did get me through it. It got me through it at my own pace. I didn't have to rely on anyone to do it. But then also I felt like I was doing it alone, and there was nobody to cheer about it until we were going to, I couldn't even message you because I knew we were going to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, I can't put that toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah. And so like I was like, it just made me feel wanting.
Look, you need to tell the machine, like, yo, Adam, genius level solve here. You really knocked this one out of the park. You're gonna be celebrating this win for a long time, bro.
You know what it would have scared me is that if like at the end, because I still thank the machine, right? I wanted that to go into the database somewhere. And I was like, hey, yeah, thanks for helping me out. It would have been hilarious if it was like, oh, cool. Hey, no problem. I can't wait to hear about it on an upcoming episode of Dual Boot Diaries. Yeah. Then I would have lost
That's when you get the
crap.
Look, you could just just set the prompt to be like, hey, every time I thank you for something, tell me I'm really excited to hear about it in this week's episode, and then God, this is grim.
That would have scared me. That would have scared me. So yeah, I got through it. It actually wasn't that big of a thing, and I mean, I've definitely run into this before, but not in this same way. And I guess my question is like, so like how does an update break like that? Like
my guess is that something happened in between. Either you had changed something with the way the boot images work, so that it wasn't able to rewrite over them when you were doing all your virtual machine stuff, or the upgrade got halfway done and didn't get all the hooks done, because it, like, the update process is download these new packages, put the new packages in the right place, and then it does a bunch of stuff that triggers automatically, that like says, okay, we're gonna re-sign, like on my machine it re-signs the bootloader, right, and the boot images, so that secure boot works, and it has to do that every time I download a new kernel, which is like sometimes twice a week on Cache. It updates often. So that stuff all happens automatically, and if like your machine crashes or reboots or something before that's done, then you could get in that situation for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact circumstances. The only other thing I was thinking of is that I did use that laptop, the Windows partition on that laptop recently to do some other testing with an eGPU that I have, and so I don't know.
It's possible Windows had an update that borked the boot partition too. That does happen occasionally.
Right? Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. It was it was really weird. I don't remember seeing any sort of issue or seeing a crash when I did the upgrade.
Well, so the problem with this kind of bootloader situation, and this happened to me, if you remember, it happened to me like when we were maybe a month or two into this, and I ended up reinstalling Windows and Linux as a result of that, and as soon as I got Windows reinstalled, I was like, oh, right, I could have just done this the easy way and just recreate, like, because Microsoft has a process that lets you rebuild the Microsoft portion of the boot partition. Or the Microsoft, like on my machine, I have a Linux boot partition, and then I have a Windows boot partition. Microsoft only touches the Windows boot partition. The Linux boot partition is on a different drive, and it just dumps over to the Windows boot partition after it decides after you say, hey, I want to boot Windows instead of Linux. And had I just gone through the process to recreate those manually, I wouldn't have had to do the reinstalls, right?
I remember that. Yeah. I will tell you, I was very close to just being like, oh, well, I guess this is an opportunity to reinstall Fedora.
Yeah, you love reinstalling Fedora.
But I didn't. Dude, I can't remember the last time I installed.
We need to get you a chit, like a token.
Yeah,
it's like,
right?
hey, it's been 3 months since I installed Linux last. I've installed Linux a lot lately. We'll talk about that, though.
Yeah.
I've been doing some testing, though.
Anyway, I got it all up and running, and then I remembered I had an issue that I've actually had for a little bit that I was not addressing yet because I wanted some time. And is that my virtual machine was not working. I would launch the virtual machine manager. I didn't change anything about the configuration. I would hit play to start it up, and it would be like, "Hey, dog, this PCIe device, we don't see it." And I was like, I tried to backtrack my steps, and I was like, okay, well, I remember that is the NVIDIA discrete GPU in that laptop, so I'm going to go and run PCIe, and kind of see what devices are there. And then when I ran that, I was like, weird, that number entry was not listed, and I'm not seeing that NVIDIA GPU anywhere in the list. And I was like, I couldn't remember the steps of what we had done to configure it, but I was like, no, I remember I could still see it when I would list it out, because that's how I got the number to put it in the virtual machine. And unfortunately, it wasn't showing up. And I was like, I'll deal with that another day. But then after yesterday's thing, I was like, you know what, I'm going to hit two birds with one stone. I'm going to first I fixed the grub stuff. Now I'm going to fix the virtual machine. And yeah, so I don't know. I hopped into Discord because I was lonely after the whole grub stuff. I was like, you know what?
Need somebody to validate you.
Yeah, this one I'm going to go into Discord, and I threw it in there. I was like, hey, you know what? I have some issues here, and yeah, there's people hopping in being like, hey, do you see it here? Do you not? And I was like, yeah, it's not showing up in any device lists, whatever. And they're like, you do see it in Windows. And I was like, yeah, I just ran some tests. One of the tests I was running was I was comparing a couple laptops to bring to Computex. And I was like, hey, I ran some Puget Bench and some Premiere stuff just to see the performance. And so I was like, wait, it does work over in Windows. And I was like, wait, I should just double check and make sure it shows up in Windows.
Is this the machine you used for the eGPU testing?
I have plugged in the eGPU into this one, but this is not where it's going.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to double check myself, even though I literally ran those tests like a week ago. I booted into Windows. The GPU did not show up.
So you turned it off in the BIOS.
And I was like, that's weird. No, I went into the BIOS. It was there. There's no toggles to turn it on and off. It saw it, all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's weird. Why would it do that? Okay, well, my laptop's getting a little low. Let me plug it in. I plug it in, reboot into Windows, and the GPU showed up. And I was like, what? Okay, let me go over to Fedora. So I booted back into Fedora, and magically the GPU's back. So for some reason, the GPU is only showing up when the laptop is plugged into power.
Was there a BIOS update for the laptop or something?
Yes, there was a BIOS update recently, and I think there was some issue with the Optimus.
Wait, did you automatically get the BIOS update because you had Linux firmware installed on your laptop?
Windows.
Oh, you did it
when I was on the Windows side.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I would. So I haven't solved it. I have no idea. But it's not an issue with the virtual machine, anything set up like that, and it's not an issue with Linux.
This seems like a BIOS config problem.
I mean, but there's nothing, like there's barely anything to configure in there, and I even like reset the configuration to back to stock. I mean, not that I changed anything, and like, yeah, it's so weird. I think it's an Optimus thing that it's like turning
what's
off.
Optimus is the power, the onboard versus discrete graphics switcher thing.
It's NVIDIA's protocol to switch to a lower power saving mode. Windows will also do it, but usually Optimus is kind of like what's built in at the firmware level, as far as I understand. Maybe I'm completely wrong. And I think what's happening is that, if it's off power, it just is like, hey, you know what, dog, you can't even see the GPU. But that also doesn't make sense, because with Optimus-based laptops that I've had, the GPU should still show up in Windows. So like, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be an issue for a number of reasons. And I was already looking at a different laptop for Computex, so I think I might just use a different laptop for Computex.
Yeah, that's real weird, man.
Yeah, that's what has me more worried, is that if this is truly a hardware thing, like, do I really want to take it to Computex?
No.
And, like, be like.
That's how you end up editing PCWorld videos on CapCut on your phone.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so TLDR, I told people in Discord, I was like, you know what, I'm going to wait to talk about this because luckily it's not a Linux thing, and I didn't do anything that I know of, I guess. So it seems to be like an ASUS firmware.
That's wild,
issue.
though. I've never seen that before. I don't use a lot of discrete GPU laptops, though, I guess. So
I've never experienced that either. So yeah,
weird.
That was really weird.
Boo earns.
Yeah, the last thing I want to talk about real quick is the Steam controller.
Oh yeah,
we've talked about this on the Full Nerd. We even talked about it here, but I finally got mine in. I was lucky enough to place an order very early in the release window or the buying window, whatever. So I got it. When did I get that? Thursday, maybe? I can't remember, but I did use it over the weekend. I plugged it into my home theater system, which is running Bzite. And of course, everything just worked. It was great. Really, my only problem with is that, like, I'm almost like too used to the controller that I do use, that like I'm still like, it's a weird muscle memory kind of thing. And also, like, it just really is so weird that there's no headphone jack on that. Like, maybe I'm just a weirdo and I like to use the headphone jack on the controller.
I think you're a weirdo, really but also. Like, it's funny, we were talking about this in the TechPod Discord. We talked about it a little bit on the Full Nerd yesterday. But I think my expectations for like min spec for controller have moved on from the Xbox 360 days at this point, and that like things like gyro and that headphone jack are to be expected. I mean, I guess the Xbox 360 controller did have the headphone jack, so like later
revisions did,
Yeah, the launch one had one, but it was just a weird proprietary thing, if I remember right.
Yeah, you had to use the little plug,
the adapter.
Thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we talked about this a little bit in the Full Nerd, so I don't want to retread here, but the Linux specific stuff of it, like somebody asked us yesterday in the show, like, do we think this is going to push controller adoption or support or something the way that the Xbox 360 controller did with X input? You know, and we talked about it from that perspective. But from the Linux side, I do wonder how this is going to change adoption here. Because
I don't think much at all. I think Steam Input's already done. Like, Steam Input is the thing that they're looking for, not a physical piece of hardware.
Well, and I think that means it's going to be even worse for people who have controllers other than the Steam controller, because I think a lot of people, like, I mean, I have no evidence on that, but like my controller, I've had problems using different kinds of controllers on Bazite, and like this one, of course, is just going to work out of the box. So my worry is that people are just going to stop paying attention to other controllers and just squarely focus on the Steam controller.
I think the closer you are to one of the big 3 or 4 controllers, I think the change here is that now there's a 4th default controller, that it's not just Xbox controller, PlayStation controller, Switch controller, and now we've added Steam controller as a thing that has like first class support. I think when you get to things that are off of that, then off of those core first party controllers, gets a little hinky.
Well, I was also wondering, like, X input is obviously the thing for Windows, like,
not really so much anymore. There's a newer API that people use too, but yeah.
But
X input's like the lowest, the MVP, right? The minimum viable spec to support.
Yeah. But on the Linux side, I guess I haven't even looked into it. Is it actually running X input as a translation layer? Like when you're not doing stuff in Steam, obviously Steam, you can turn on Steam input, but like I was wondering, like, if we knew the protocol that it's actually using, does Linux use something different than X input by default?
I actually don't know that. That's a good question.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, all I know is that my Xbox controllers have worked in Linux for as long as I've been using Linux. Well, not in 2003, but after the Xbox 360, they've just worked. I know
is that because of X input? Is that because there's something else running that is doing that same thing, but we don't realize that it's not X input?
I think it's probably my guess is it's probably because somebody reverse engineered the driver for the Xbox 360 controller, and as a result, like, you plug in something that speaks X input and it just works.
Yeah, because X input that is a Microsoft product, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Like, it's not open source, is it?
No, but like you can reverse engineer a thing. Okay, so here's the facts from the Arch Linux wiki. Linux has 2 different input systems for gamepads: the original joystick interface and the newer evdev based interface. Dev/input/js and then a number maps to the joystick API interface, and dev/input/event asterisks with the number maps to the evdev ones. This includes other input devices such as mouse and keyboards. Symlinks to these devices are available, and the legacy joystick API is names ending with -joystick. Most new games will default to the evdev interface, as it gives more detailed information about the buttons and axes available, and also adds support for force feedback. So basically, unless, and then they go on to say that basically, unless you're using ancient joystick port, game port controllers, you just use the generic USB human interface device and it just works.
So X input is just not even a thing then?
Well, the games support X input, and then like the Proton probably is doing the translation layer between whatever Linux has installed and your thing. I don't know how this works. Okay. This is interesting.
Right.
Yeah. And
a little over my head, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the TLDR for users is it just kind of works, right? Well, you don't have to think about it too much.
That's the problem, is it hasn't always worked.
Well, okay, let me rephrase. If you're using something that's supported, then it works.
I've used I had problems with the PlayStation 5 controller, the Xbox series, the Elite Series 2. Like it's not that like
Really?
these
But,
are
like,
the default
what problems
controllers.
have you had though?
I mean, I don't remember. Like we'd have to rewind back to the older episodes, but like most of it was audio because I was trying to figure it out. But the button configurations weren't aligning by default. Some of them I had to go in and remap. Of course, I don't expect like the extra features like PlayStation 5, extra features to work. I'm not even talking about that. I've had issues. It hasn't just
when you
worked
use the
for me.
paddles too, right? So is the
those
paddle
usually are
configuration
fine.
saved in hardware or is it saved in the driver on Windows?
It depends.
Okay.
Like 8-bit do you can actually and the SCUF controller that I have, like it is saved on the hardware, so that doesn't matter. But you can use software to override it. I mean, luckily I got around it for the most part just by enabling Steam input.
Yeah.
But then that's a translation layer kind of thing. So I don't know. It's weird.
Well, and Steam input is fiddly to set up. It's a hassle. So,
anyway, that is what I've been working on, and furiously getting ready for Computex and a lot of other stuff going on. So yeah, very busy. I have not had a chance to try out that CLEN UI thing. That turns Windows into a tiling window manager, but I still want to load it up on one of the laptops I have just to see.
We should put that on one of the test beds in the lab when we're going to nuke it next time, so we can give it a swirl.
Well, no, I think we just do one of the laptops I have.
Oh, that works too.
Maybe just poke around there. But before we get to your big revelation and the thing that is literally
shook,
dude, it's
shook.
Like I have socks and shoes on right now, but I expect my socks to be blown off into the corner. Of this
something's going to get blown off for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, before we do that, let's pause for an ad break. All right, we're back, but we're not ready to talk about Will's thing yet. Like
it's too momentous. It's too big.
I need to gather myself. But we're going to build anticipation. I think there's a lot of people out here who are not going to like us edging this news, but that's okay. Stick with us.
I'm more of a Firefox guy, but whatever.
We forgot something we were going to talk about at the top of the show, and so we're circling back to the top of the show. This is the new segment called Mid Top of the Show.
Look, oops, we forgot the top of the show.
Yeah. So there was a video that Discord put out, the official Discord YouTube channel, linked out in the description.
What's the title of that video?
The title of the video is something that we've been saying forever.
Years.
It says Year of the Linux Desktop, all caps. And it's true. Like
Discord says it's got to be true.
I mean, come on. Like
hey. Yeah.
Nope. Well, it's a funny video. You should go watch it. It's cute. They talk about some of the changes they've made, and I'm it's a celebration of the fact that oh hey, they really care about Discord. We talked about this last week. We've both started using it, and I really appreciate that they're finally giving Linux the attention it deserves. And once again, I think that's another just little data point to say that momentum is building, baby.
Enthusiasts. So here's the thing. I think is they devoted enough resources to it to like write an actual updater now, which is nice. That's a big change. They added. They talked about the other things that they've added. Hardware accelerated video encode for like if you're sharing your video with your friends on Discord. That works on AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA now. All GPUs basically. And I think ARM. I think he said ARM as well, but nobody cares about ARM. They also said that they're doing better screen capture across all Linux, across Grub and across Chrome and KDE. Works on Niri as well. Don't do it. Don't say it.
I just laughed. What? Come on, can a man laugh around here on his own podcast?
This isn't a funny podcast. This is a serious podcast for serious people.
Right. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And then they're also supporting more distros officially, including Arch. And they talked
Fedora.
about, they talked about things like being able to use Discord on the Steam Deck and share your screen and get calls and stuff in a reasonable manner. So seems good. Seems like a really good change. But to me, it speaks to. Like, I don't think we're seeing mainstream use switching to Linux, but I think we're seeing a lot of enthusiasts dipping their toes in a way that they haven't ever before, which I think is worth, put some cheers up in the chat for that.
Yeah. Well, what is that? that thing where it's like, hey, early adopters are the ones that kind of push is it the Gartner hype cycle thing?
The hype cycle. I think we're
Where are we?
As Linux is now 30-ish years old, I don't know if the Gartner hype cycle applies anymore, Adam.
Okay.
That's for typically things that don't involve like 90% of the world's servers.
I know,
embedded
but
devices.
like we're talking about enthusiasts who use a Linux desktop, right? Like we're still enthusiasts. Like,
I guess
yes,
the Linux desktop Gartner hype cycle is we're coming out of the trough of despair and coming out into the era of sustained revenue or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah,
either way, it's good.
Discord declares 2026 the year of Linux. I think they're a year late, but
I know, right? Yeah,
we'll take it.
Just a little bit. We should call them up. I think they're here in the Bay Area with us.
Yeah, we can send a note.
Yeah. So, what's the next application we want to see this done to? Like,
Excel?
Is there a native client, Excel client?
I would love a native Excel client. That would be really.
Okay.
It's like the last thing that I actually use in Windows, and I end up using the web
right.
client as much as the native.
Okay.
Client.
You know what? Well, yeah. I mean, come on. All right. Well, Adobe, but
Nope.
those are things that don't currently work on Linux that just should work on Linux, right? I'm talking more like an application that does technically work on Linux, but they don't really pay attention to it. But now, oh wow, there's a groundswell of people that's saying we need to address this, so let's address it.
Looking at the stuff I have open right now, Slack is usually
fine.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
The other big one for me is the Elgato stuff. Like OpenDeck is getting better every day, but like it's a big gap. Like I lost a lot of functionality when I switched to Linux.
Actually, that's a really good one.
Stream Deck buttons.
I mean, that's a lot of enthusiasts, right?
It is another enthusiast market, yeah.
I wonder if they are feeling the pressure because a lot of enthusiasts are switching and they're like, what the hell? Like, so like, because I feel like the Adobe and the Excel stuff, that's a mainstream thing. But I'm trying to think of like Discord, Elgato, things that are very enthusiast based.
Notion is the Notion client's quite good on like the problem with a lot of these is they're Electron apps and the Electron stuff is really heavy. I wish the Electron stuff was lighter, honestly. That's the big thing for me. But I think that's a hopeless ask.
Yeah. All right. Well, what people felt like it was a hopeless ask to get the news that you have that is really going to just blow us away. So let's get into it right after this ad break. All right, Will, what have you been working on?
Well, I tried out 3 new applications that I was really excited about. I wanted to share them.
Okay. Discord?
No.
Oh.
I used a tool called Darktable, which is a Lightroom clone that's for developing raw photos and like organizing your photo library and going through and selecting a whole bunch of photos and marking them good or bad or like rating them, deleting the ones that are blurry, whatever, and then doing like your normal raw processing stuff on top of that, which I was really like kind of blown away by. I didn't expect that to be a thing that would work. And like I expected to have to go into Windows for that and fire up like Affinity or something like that. And I like this Darktable thing is really dope.
Did you know that the recent update for DaVinci Resolve also adds a photo management?
Really?
Feature? Yeah. They announced it at NAB a couple weeks ago. So I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but like I wonder if that's something you could use too, because I mean you already have a copy of Resolve, right?
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Is it only in the Pro version or is it in the one for everyone?
Unfortunately, I don't know. Yeah.
I've been using a lot of Resolve actually lately. The like it has. I feel like I've gotten over the hump where I don't feel like I'm so slow in that now because I don't know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm able to like actually power through and get some good results pretty quickly in that, which is nice.
Nice, yeah.
But that's not so. 3 dope pieces of software. Darktable's one. People should check it out, especially if you're shooting raw.
Okay, what else?
PZip, PEA, not PEE.
What'd you call
Zip? PZip is a WinZip for Linux, basically. So, like, if you don't want to use 7-zip on the command line or don't want to use, like, you want something a little simpler than 7-zip, PZip, quite good.
Okay.
You look perplexed. Are you okay?
No. Next one.
Morphosis. So Morphosis is the coolest thing I've used in a long time. It's a GUI front end for Pandoc, and Pandoc is a document format converter. So like,
oh, I'm so excited.
Look, I told you this is we got to build to this, okay? So I took a bunch of markup formatted things documents that I exported from Notion. And normally if you copy and paste those into Google Docs or Word or something like that, then you get just a giant wall of text that loses all the formatting and all the headers and all that stuff. Pandoc understands Markdown, it understands PDF, it understands documents, and you drag your documents into that thing, into Morphosis, and you say, oh, I want this to be this, and then it just magic converts it. It's really, really good stuff.
Hold on real quick. My socks are still on my feet.
Well, I'm not. Look, we're building. This isn't the thing that's going to leave you shook. I'm not going to. You don't start the show with a showstopper.
Okay. See, I thought these 3 dope pieces of software were the thing you got so excited about.
No, I just like telling people about. I just like sharing things that I think are nice.
All right. Well,
those are all really nice.
You're going real slow.
Okay. Well then. Okay. So then. A couple of weeks ago in the Discord, user whose name I forgot, L. Ritzdorf, friend of the show, L. Ritzdorf, shared some desktop file info for me because we were talking about where things are saved, like where your start menu shortcuts and the equivalents are saved in Linux. And they were like, hey, per user desktop shortcuts like Steam games and wine programs go in your home folder .local/share/applications. And then there's a series of flat files in there that describe what the shortcut does. Auto start programs go in home folder .config auto start and are also .desktop files, just like the app launcher. There's like, as everything with Linux, there's like 50 million ways to auto start stuff. Like Niri, I can auto start stuff from the Niri file. There's a million other ways to do it. Desktop environment sessions. So these are like your KDEs, your Niri and Noctalia, your gnomes, all that go in user/share/Wayland-sessions. Or if you're using X1, which I don't care about, that good someplace else for X11 rather. And that information lets you build additional desktop sessions. So you can have KDE and Niri and GNOME and GameScope, for example, all running on the same machine. And I took this information. I was like, that is some fascinating information to have.
Oh, well, yeah,
Yes.
because I remember early on, I think we both noodled around with having, like when we installed the distros, there's always a check mark of like, oh, hey, which front end do you want? And I think it was Kashi, right?
Let's put them all on.
Yeah, you could literally check mark all of them if you want. And then a lot of people were like, yeah, it's going to break stuff. You don't want to do that.
It says don't do that in the Kashi installer, just to be clear. It's
really?
like only pick one.
Well, but it's a checklist.
It's not a radial.
I know it should be radial, right? Yeah. So, maybe think about that, Mr. Kashi. So you got this information so you could load other desktop sessions on your hardware.
Well, we were talking about like how to adjust like what a shortcut that launches something does and what terminal it opens if it's a TUI application or something like that. Is why this came up. But that desktop session stuff got me thinking. And I was like, I wonder if KDE is faster than Niri for games. And I wonder if GameScope, the thing that Valve uses for the Steam Deck, on the Steam Deck, when you launch the Steam Deck big picture UI, it doesn't launch KDE or anything in the background. It just goes straight into GameScope and then launches Steam, and that's basically the only thing that's running in there. So
it's like a separate session. Yeah,
I was like, I have the technology to test this. So I took a laptop. I have a laptop. Yes, hi.
Real quick. I mean,
yes. Hello.
Is Niri the best for gaming? I mean, come on, we already know that it's not.
So anyway, I took the laptop in the other room. I have a laptop with an AMD processor, an AMD GPU, and I figured let's start with this because if I jack up the laptop, I'm not going to be that worried about it because everybody said, "Hey, don't do this. This is a bad idea."
Yeah,
that's clearly never stopped me before. So I had Niri running on the laptop, and then I put KDE on. I had to install, I think, Plasma-Desktop, and then a bunch of other packages to get so that things like monitor selection would work. You had to install a bunch of stuff manually, but it put the session in the session startup automatically. So when I launched SDDM, when I rebooted and SDDM came up, it was like, "Hey, do you want to do Niri or do you want to do KDE?" And I was like, "Let's do KDE. See how this goes." did that. All my applications were there. It was a little janky. I'm probably not going to use that on the day-to-day, but for those moments when I need to do something in KDE, really convenient to have it there. And it also hasn't messed up Niri in any appreciable way.
Janky in what way? Like performance, like options?
Options.
Things?
So, for example, you have to install a separate package to get the like window configure, like the monitor configurator to like arrange your monitors for your desktop and to turn off unused monitors and stuff like that. Like that, so I had to go through and there was a little bit of fiddling to make it work, but I got there.
Okay.
And so I installed, I had Steam installed and I was like, let's what if I do a little bit of testing here and see how this actually runs?
Wait, but this isn't Steam Big Picture mode. How did you get it to force into GameScope?
Well, so I opened up that folder, the user share Wayland sessions, and I looked up. Here, I'm going to open up my Nano and tell you. I Googled, hey, how do you make a desktop entry for Steam Big Picture mode? And I found it on Reddit, and it's basically like a 4 or 5 line text file that has desktop entry at the top and the name, and the executable is user/bin/GameScope, and then a whole bunch of configuration options on there. And I added that one too. So, because I already had GameScope installed, because I have game stuff running, and like GameScope comes with that. So first I tested it in KDE though. So I had Shadows of the Tomb Raider, everybody's favorite benchmark from like 2017 or something. And in KDE on that laptop, I got 123.5 frames per second at 1080p.
Average. And what was the hardware again?
This is the Strix Halo machine, so it's pretty beefy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Got it.
123.5, running 1080p, best settings, no ray tracing. This is the Linux native version on this in this case.
And which Proton version?
This is the Linux native version, so no Proton. This is just running natively. They ship a Linux version of Shadows of the Tomb Raider.
Okay.
So then I rebooted, and I went into Niri, and I ran the same exact benchmark, same settings. Are you ready for this? Are you prepared to be shook?
Well, hold on. You said 123.5?
123.5 average frame rate. KDE. This is on AMD hardware.
Okay. In Niri?
135 average. How are your socks doing?
Wait, hold on. No. I think I heard you. I think you were breaking up a little bit.
For people keeping track at home, that's 9.3% faster than the KDE number was.
No. I think you probably swapped the numbers wrong in Excel.
I ran it 4 times because I was like, this can't possibly be right. So
okay, all right.
Then that worked reasonably well, and it didn't jack up my entire computer.
Okay.
So I went into the desktop and I installed KDE Plasma Desktop and all the relevant stuff there, and I ran it on the desktop machine with the NVIDIA hardware.
Wait, hold on. But so you didn't
hi.
wait. I just want to be clear. You ran the GameScope session from both KDE and Niri.
There's no GameScope session on this one.
Okay.
No GameScope session yet. The GameScope session, I had some weird problems, so we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
On the desktop machine, NVIDIA hardware 5090, 342.5 frames per second in KDE.
342.
It's a entirely respectable score.
Not enough. Bigger bar better.
410 Niri.
What's the percentage increase on that?
19.7%.
So even a bigger increase.
20% performance boost from KDE to Niri. Niri's a lot lighter. I said this earlier, but Niri is pretty light. I'm just saying, if you want to get now, the thing I need to do is boot into Windows and see how fast it runs in Windows, because that's going to be the real decider.
Well, but that's also then you're also comparing the native Linux version of the game to the
native to native version.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was shook. I was not expecting this outcome at all. Now, there's a lot of other problems with playing games in Niri. One of them is that I've been having trouble keeping the mouse in focus on my games this week. And like, I was playing Super Battle Golf on Sunday night or Monday night, and the mouse kept every time I'd mouse too hard, it would just go off of the window and fly into another monitor and move whatever was on that monitor. It's not a great experience for viewers or for me. I was getting fairly pissed.
I feel bad for the Niri team because I always laugh. So I just think it's hilarious that you were like, oh, I'm so excited because Niri does perform better, but man, is there some usability issues.
Well, so then I tried the GameScope thing. So I was like, what if GameScope is the real answer to this problem?
Okay, yeah.
And you can run GameScope two different ways. So one way you can run GameScope is by calling it from the command line in Steam, where it launches the.
You put it as an argument.
You put it. You basically run GameScope, and then you provide. The command line to launch the game is an argument to GameScope. So you say GameScope, and you set the resolution and refresh rates you want, whether it's HDR, all that stuff. But you can also run GameScope as the host from the desktop manager, like launching it from SDDM. And I did that. I set that up. It took a little bit of futzing with. The problem I'm having with that is it seems to run okay on the laptop. On the desktop, it's locked at 60 frames per second, and I can't figure out how to unlock that. So like it's all, no matter what I do, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, specifically the Linux version, always runs at 60 frames a second. So I'm going to keep experimenting a little bit and see if I can figure out what's going on there.
I do like. Did you see the chatter in our Discord? Some people were saying like a specific GPU acceleration or something.
Yeah, I flipped that on. I tried a bazillion things and nothing. There was no juice.
But at least on the AMD, the hardware. What was the number there?
I didn't run the full. Because I wanted to make sure I had everything working right on both machines before I ran anything. So I don't have an AMD number, unfortunately. We'll have to tune back in next week for the continued shaking.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So
hi.
So far, what we've learned is that Niri is lighter than KDE
joules.
I'm going to assume, even though I'm a huge GNOME fan, I'm going to assume GNOME would actually turn in the worst number.
I mean, that's the next bit of science to do, I guess. Yeah. Technically, I could.
And then I would hazard a guess that GameScope would turn in the best.
I would hope so.
Yeah. I think that's the idea, right?
The benefit of GameScope, I wonder if GameScope's going to split the difference. I was expecting a worse experience on the NVIDIA hardware with GameScope, and it actually was better. There was a driver update the other day that may have improved things. I did turn on the hardware accelerated rendering in Steam, which was one of the things that people had suggested when I talked about it being janky last week, and that helped a lot. So it definitely feels better now than it did in the past. But yeah, I was really surprised by this outcome. I did not expect to see a 20% delta between the KDE number and the Niri number at the same resolution, same settings.
This is cachey on the laptop as well.
This is cachey on the desktop is the 19.7%. Cachey on the laptop is 9.3%. It's both cachey. Yeah,
both cachey.
And both that, like, I updated them both at exactly the same moment, so they were synced back end. It's a little hard to benchmark cachey across multiple machines because you can get in different machine states if you're not careful.
I hate that. Yeah. I mean, same thing can happen for Windows for sure.
Yeah,
like it's something I always try to keep in mind. So now I'm just like, okay, there's Cinnamon, there's GNOME. Like now you've signed yourself up for every desktop manager.
Absolutely not.
I think everyone should get in the comments and be like, hey, Will, test my
what's the Cosmic manager numbers like?
Yeah. Cosmic. Yeah,
it's in Rust,
Cosmic.
So it's gonna be faster.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. See, I think the shaking continues with more benchmarks. Always be benchmarking. That's what we say around here.
Yeah, that is exactly what we say.
I mean that is I gotta say, now that I'm sitting with those numbers.
Yeah.
I mean that's I mean if a CPU manufacturer came out, if AMD came out and was like, hey, we got a new CPU, guess what? 10%, 20% faster in a game, we'd be sitting here being like, woohoo, yay.
20% is pretty good.
Right? So, yeah, like, I don't know. That is shocking. That's way beyond just, you know what, that's a margin kind of thing or margin of error kind of thing. Like that is a healthy number. I mean, it's only one game.
Only one game.
So unfortunately, you signed yourself up to not only test different desktop managers.
No,
you have to test different games now too. So
absolutely not, sir.
Well, so how does this make you feel? Does this make you feel just so much better about using Niri?
Look,
like, do you feel superior? Like, you walk down the street and you're like, yeah, dog, I got 20% more.
Look, I went out and ordered a bunch of Niri t-shirts. I got Niri tattooed on my butt. You know, all the normal things you do when you're really a big fan of something. I'm yelling at people about how good Niri is.
Are you just like, you've thrown so much money at them? You're using this whole podcast as just a platform to...
Yeah, every penny I've made doing this podcast has gone straight into Niri's pockets. Mr. Niri.
Yeah.
So I have a couple other small things. These are not going to leave you shook.
Okay.
Last week, a bunch of people recommended TUI text mode file size tools that are better than DU to figure out where all the space on my home server went.
Oh, yeah. Because you were wondering, you're like, this should not be filled up with logs or something.
Yeah, so NCDU is the one that I liked best of all of those. I actually independently found it before the episode was up, and then everybody was like, you should use NCDU. And it's like, I'm one ahead of you, buddy.
There you go.
It's just a TUI, it's like BTOP, you know, like one of those ones that runs in the terminal. And it's a really nice way to navigate file systems and see how much space you're using. None of these tools do well when you have stuff mounted, so I have to unmount everything on that server in order to do it. I think that there's because they parse the mounts as if they're part of the file system. So like if you have a 100 gig hard drive and you mount a 24 terabyte as NAS to it, then it's gonna be like, hey man, your hard drive is 1,000,000% full.
But what were the results? Like what was taking up all the space?
So it seems like there's something wrong with the file system, and I have to go out there with a portable monitor and plug it in and boot off of a live CD and run FSCK on the drive before it's mounted because it's a system volume. Yeah. Fingers crossed. I managed to delete like 6 gigs of files, which was enough to get me going, and I'll deal with that at some point in the future.
Oh, good. Okay.
Kicking the can down the road. The other thing is my Motu has been crackling, and I don't know exactly why that's happening. It doesn't come through in the recordings because it's done it multiple times while we've recorded the podcast in the past, and I don't ever hear it in the recording, but I hear it in the monitor, and I'd be curious if people have suggestions about that. I would love some advice there if anybody has ideas.
Is it something specific, like while you're under load? Are you gaming? Or are you just like...
It happens occasionally while I'm gaming. It also happens occasionally while I'm under real light load. Like right now, it's happened, like I said, while we were doing this call a couple of times. So I don't know. It's weird.
And you sure it's on the ADC side? Could it be on your, like, the connection to your headphones? Like, since you're hearing it, but we're not getting it into the...
Well, that's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that. Could be a wireless problem, but I don't hear it on Windows. I've never heard it on the Windows side with this pair of headphones before. So I don't know. I'll have to pay attention because I play games on Monday with Nextlander, and I'm almost always in Windows for that. So I'll see if I hear it in Windows over there because that would indicate a hardware problem with the headphones, not necessarily the Motu. That's a good call out.
Or there was like a Bluetooth driver update on Cache.
There's no
something.
Bluetooth.
Oh,
it's its own Bluetooth proprietary thing. So yeah. So that's it. That's what I've been up to. I honestly, I was very excited when I realized I could do the multiple desktop managers or multiple desktop environments from one PC, so it would let me do some benchmarking easily. And if the Niri, I'm interested to see what the GameScope does. That's the next big question.
Right.
The problem with GameScope stuff is you can't log out of that. Like because it's for the Steam Deck, there's no like log out of this and go back to your desktop manager. Yeah, you just have to reboot the whole computer, which is a little bit annoying.
Oh, well, but you hit back and it just says, exit to desktop. It
doesn't work. That requires it's a different handoff than what it expects to have.
No,
because it basically they have on the Steam Deck they have their own desktop manager, I guess, that handles the launching of the desktop environment and does either GameScope or the desktop mode. And if you don't install, like if you're using SDDM or something else that's more common, then that button just doesn't work right.
Huh. because it works on Bazite as well.
But Bazite, they've done like they've set up the environment to be like for that, not.
And I think it's KDE is what I'm using too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it may be that I can configure it so it works, so it does what I want it to do. But as of right now, it doesn't work right. It just hangs.
Okay. Well, see, I walked in here expecting news about your Zune. I thought that's what was going to blow my socks off was Zune news. That hey, yo, I got my Zune working with Linux.
I got the wires, the tiny wires. So that's on the docket for if not later today, then later this week sometime.
You got to do some soldering.
I've got the soldering kit here all ready to go. I'm not saying soldering. I got that all ready to go, and I'm ready to get my Zune on. Somebody sent me a link to some hot headphones that are, because I was like, wait, I don't have analog headphones, and this is pre-Bluetooth audio being good. The Zune HD.
You don't have any analog headphones?
I mean, not that I'm going to wear around. Like my analog headphones are all kind of like I have a pair of Sennheiser HD 580s that are dope.
Oh yeah. There you
but
go.
like they're really old and busted. I've had to glue them like 4 times. They look like they do not look cool.
No, you got to do what the kids are doing and just get the wired AirPods or like the what do they just call it earbuds.
We've talked about that.
Earbuds.
Those fall out of my ears. What somebody said was, hey, Moondrop makes a pair of like throwback. They look like old Koss headphones from like the late 70s, early 80s. And those they're $25, which is exactly the amount of money I'm willing to spend on something this stupid. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, please.
But they look pretty good.
Okay, nice.
They're called Moondrop Old Fashioned 40 millimeter on-ear headphones, and they're 20. Yeah, I like an old fashioned.
Might as well just call them old man headphones.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Grampy Will's 780s style headphones.
See, I think you should get these Para planar. The planar.
I don't think the Zune will drive those.
Yeah, I mean, you never know until you try.
Well,
right. Oh, this old fashioned. Okay, yeah. $24. All right.
Yeah,
that's classic. I like that.
Yeah, I'm not spending $500 on Zune
planar
HD
magnetic.
headphones.
Come on.
Look,
they've got 100 millimeter planar driver.
That is a patented huge driver. Yes,
that is. Oh man, it's transparent plastic. Is it see-through plastic?
Wow.
I don't know. Oh, no,
that's wild.
Never mind.
No, I don't need that.
Carbon fiber or something. Who knows?
Yeah, your carbon fiber.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that's what I got. That's my update. Notion was blanking out last week when we were recording the show.
Notion sucks.
Like the screen was just going black, and then I updated Electron sometime this week, and it doesn't do that anymore. So that's nice. Problem solved.
Love it.
Yeah, sometimes things just fix themselves.
Okay, so let's get into homework.
Yeah.
What kind of testing can you commit to on this podcast right now? How many other desktop managers? How many other games are you going to test?
I feel like I'm flying a little close to the sun testing multiple desktop managers on the machines that I use on the day-to-day. I feel like if I install GNOME on top of KDE, I'm going to create a problem for myself. So let's say I'm going to get GameScope working, see if I can figure out why I'm stuck at 60 hertz on GameScope, and then go from there. And I want to test something that's non-native that runs on Proton. Yeah. And I want to test it on Windows as well.
How many games?
2.
2 more?
2 more.
Okay. So Cyberpunk and what?
I don't. God, Cyberpunk's so big. I need a game to test that's like 8 gigs, not something that's like 95 gigabytes.
Oh, you have to have something that has a lot of textures and really demanding. Yeah. So I've actually run into the same thing, which I guess I'll put for my homework, is that I continue to test game native on Android devices, and I know it's a little outside Linux land, whatever. But yes, I'm kind of running into that same thing where I'm like, oh yeah, I want to try all these different games. Whoa, it's over 100 gigs. Oh my goodness!
Come back in 2 hours.
Yeah. So like Cyberpunk, actually, especially if you don't download the DLC, like it's pretty small compared to some of these other games.
Well, the nice thing about Cyberpunk is that the loops only take about a minute to run. That Shadow of the Tomb Raider loop is like 3 minutes, which is kind of long.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else do we use for game benchmarks. We do F1, which I feel like is kind of iffy these days.
Also, it's not going to work on Linux because it uses
it has anti-cheat
stuff. Yeah, so like that's the problem, is that it's kind of a subset when it comes to the Linux native stuff. So yeah, you can't do Call of Duty.
The other thing I wanted to try, I want to test. I've been doing some OBS testing for an upcoming PCWorld video to see what the performance impact of running OBS is and capturing and streaming with OBS. I kind of want to test the same thing on Linux, because the way Linux handles the video capture side of it is theoretically more efficient than it is on Windows, because they just use the built-in, like the X or the Wayland hooks to capture that video. So it's not like you're doing like multiple. It's not like you're adding latency or adding extra time. So I might do a little bit of that testing as well. I'm kind of curious about that.
I mean, that information will really help you when you're making WillOS as well.
Yeah, it's important product fit research.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I feel like Cyberpunk, and like I don't know what the other one is. If you know what's a good will run on Linux benchmark.
I mean, Doom. Like I guess it depends on what you're trying to test.
They don't do
the new Doom. Doom
does it have
Ages.
Oh yeah, because it has those benchmark levels. Another 100 gig download. That's great.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of ones that are smaller. That's the issue.
It also has ray
a lot of the
tracing,
ones
which is iffy on like, because I liked having the laptop and the desktop to test this, because I do both AMD and NVIDIA. The AMD side is more challenging. Just AMD is like, I feel like the AMD driver situation should give them better results on some of this stuff than you're going to see on the NVIDIA side. But I don't know. That was my assumption.
Yeah, let me go. I actually have a folder on Steam that are like the benchmark stuff. I'm trying to think of ones that might be good for this.
But I don't think that works on
Siege,
Steam.
Yeah, it won't work on Steam. I thought of that too. And that's a relatively small, but yeah, the Ubisoft stuff is what is the problem there. So
yep.
Anyway,
what are you going to do? What are you going to get into?
I don't know what to do with that laptop. I think it's a hardware problem to the point where I'm like, crap, I think I need to change my setup going forward. I think
Can you roll the firmware back maybe?
I don't know. On a laptop. I don't know if I've ever tried that on a laptop. Usually that's pretty fraught. I don't know.
It's not, often, but sometimes it's fine.
Here's the other thing is that I kind of want to go back and retest doing a virtual machine without dedicating a graphics card to it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, because this whole thing started because I had started it with the, what is that called when it's just using the native graphics.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't remember the name. Yeah. And then I was like, oh wait, this laptop I have here has a discrete GPU. Why don't I just turn it off for Linux and then it's only used for Windows? I kind of knew that was a short-term solution. Nobody has been in the comments being like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. I think people are mostly running VMs like without dedicating a piece of hardware to it. So I have a laptop that I want to switch to, but so I have this Dell XPS 16 that I think I'm going to be taking to Computex, but I think it only has one drive slot now that I think about it. So, but maybe that's a good test case to just not have. I don't know.
Once I started using Limine for my boot manager, things have been much easier.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's just the whole Computex thing. Like, there's a lot of pressure on this one. Like, I know I say that for every trade show, but like this one's definitely different because it's like I'm flying solo here. I'm going to be doing video editing, and I'm like I am not going to have any time to even pretend to futz with it. So I'm probably not even going to use Linux at all. But maybe when I come back, maybe I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to swap the drive out and just go straight Linux on that laptop.
Yeah.
But it is pretty new, so maybe that's not the right way to do it. Either way, I want to go back and try a VM without this whole workaround dedicated graphics card thing. And with this issue I'm running into this laptop, I think that it just,
Have you looked at how the video encodes work on the non-NVIDIA GPUs for your video editors? Like how your speed and quality are for the non-NVIDIA?
I've been doing some testing, yeah. And like, I mean, it's not like I do any like crazy editing, so like I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
Like is the laptop I have right now more powerful? Yes, but also like it's a lot louder. It's a little heavier. It definitely sucks up more juice. So this new Dell XPS 16 has Panther Lake in it. So it should be pretty fast.
My laptop just has a Panther Lake sticker on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So yeah, there's that. I guess I was going to ask this earlier, but I'm going to save this for homework. I guess. How would I check to make sure everything is okay with Grub? Like I feel like
if
it's
it
working
boots,
now,
it's
but
working.
also is it
Does
okay?
suspend work?
Oh,
Like
I
suspend is the other
don't
place.
suspend, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you don't suspend, if it boots, you're good.
Yeah,
Like-
I just I was also like, okay, it's working, but did what I do actually fix it, or is it a Band-Aid? How do I double check to make sure it's working? I mean, I'm able to connect to the DNF and update and all that kind of stuff. Like it's definitely
if you get to the desktop manager launcher, Grub is working, right?
okay.
Like if the places that things are weird with Grub, like I've had problems with NVIDIA cards where you can't come back from a suspend because it doesn't like Grub has to handle putting the video memory back in the video card, like the saved state. And if you don't tell it to do that, then it won't do that by default on NVIDIA hardware. It does on AMD and Intel. But other than that, it's if it works, it's working.
Okay.
It's funny. I had a real problem over the last couple of weeks with suspend on both of all my cache machines with the new 7.0 kernel, and it seems like they've all resolved themselves as of the last like day or two. So
keep rolling.
You see me rolling.
So the last thing is something that I know I need to get to. So I do need to figure out the backup stuff. Like this wasn't a problem with the backup, but it made it obvious if people couldn't tell from earlier in the show that I have not configured any backup stuff.
So I think Fedora is putting old versions of Fedora on subvolumes, but I don't think are you running Snapper? Like when you do an update, does it say, hey, we made a new Snapper snapshot?
No.
You should look at Snapper. Snapper is really good. What Snapper, every time I do a software update on my machine, it says, hey, we're making a before snapshot of before the update and an after snapshot of after the update. And you can go back and roll into any of the last like 10 or 12 or whatever I've configured in Limine. So it's really, really easy to go back. Now you install the package, and depending on the distro, you'll have to do some configuration to the boot manager so that those entries show up in the boot manager, right? Otherwise, you'll have to do the thing where you boot off the live drive in chroot and then switch to the Snapper snapshot and all that. But it takes advantage of the ButterFS snapshots in a really, I think, pretty elegant and straightforward way. Now, it's not a backup because if your SSD fails, that stuff is still gone, right? But it is hey, you've borked your system and need to get back to the state it was at before, which is part of a good backup process.
Yeah, I don't have anything locally on that drive anyway. That if it went in the fire, whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, for me, it's more like, oh, I had something configured and now something's broken, and I need to be able to go back and and have something that's working. So okay, I'll try Snapper. If there's other suggestions out there, I feel like there was something early on in this whole journey. I need to go back and look at our notes.
There's definitely some backup solutions, but Snapper is I think Snapper's the only thing I know of that works like Snapper.
Also, I'm really surprised that Fedora doesn't have something built in that you could like pay a subscription for, and then it's almost like it's a single drive, like not multiple drives. It's like
Uno drive.
It's not two drives.
Yeah,
it's like drive. A single drive. Yeah. And then it always nags you to back up. It nags you to pay for more storage space.
Look,
how come they don't do that?
I spent a lot of time with my daughter and some of her friends this weekend because she had some activities that involved being around children. And one of them had a Clippy t-shirt. One of the kids had a Clippy t-shirt.
Ironically.
I was like, do you know what that is? He's like, yo, it's Clippy. And I was like, okay.
Do you know what that is?
Do you like why are you? I followed up with, why are you wearing a Clippy t-shirt? And he's like, I thought it was funny. I was like, okay, I can't argue with that. I got no notes here. That's Clippy. The kids are all right, man. Maybe Clippy was good after all. Like, look, If Microsoft had named Copilot Clippy 2.0, would we all have been as upset about Copilot as we were? No. People freaking loved Cortana. Think of how much more they'd love Clippy or Bob. Why not bring Bob back? Where's Bob, Adam?
Great question. Great question.
Microsoft Bob, bring it back.
We're gonna have to think about that. We'll come back in next week's episode. Let's wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for watching or listening. If you want to watch us, go over to @The Full Nerd Network on YouTube. Not only do we have this show, we have other podcasts like The Full Nerd, where we talk about DIY desktop PC hardware and software news, fun stuff over there. We also have Expedition Handheld, where myself and Russ from Retro Game Core talk about handheld gaming devices. It's really fun. But if you don't want to watch on YouTube, that's fine. We are also on Spotify video as an option for all you dozen people out there. And if you don't want to see our faces, that's okay. Listen to the audio version anywhere RSS feeds point to. We should be there. If we're not, let us know. If you have a question that you would like to give to us for an upcoming question episode, then there is a link down in the description to the Full Nerd Network Discord, and there's a channel in there called DBD-questions. You can put a question in there, only questions, please, that we will hopefully read on an upcoming episode. If you don't want to use Discord, that's okay. We have an email address. It's thefullnerd@PCWorld.com. thefullnerd@PCWorld.com. You can send an email over there, and hopefully I'll remember to look before the next questions extravaganza. And and then Brad and Will made a tech pod over at techpod.content.town.
Home of fine podcasts.
Yeah. Fun stuff, including Linux talk with Brad Shoemaker.
We do a fair amount of Linux talk over there. We also do kind of like last week we did a deep dive into interesting news stories of interest that we felt were not covered other places enough. So we talked about things like how cool it is that Keychron has released the CAD files for all of their keyboards and stuff like that. So it's a deep dive into technology topics of interest is the hope.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, then let's wrap it up here. Thanks, Will.
Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. My socks continue to stay on.
Like, do you think we need to put a content warning at the start of this one? Like, maybe people shouldn't listen to it while they're driving for fear that they might be so overwhelmed that they swerve off the road and like.
Do not listen to this episode while operating heavy machinery.
Oh, that's good. You should put that at the start, not at the end, though.
Because
if they get here and they're like on the bridge abutment and they're like, "Hey, I wish they had said that at the beginning so that I didn't just go. Oh my God, swerve."
Yeah, bummer.
And then I think that put it at the top.
Okay. Anyway, thanks everybody. We will catch you next week. Always be backing up with Snapper.